Everybody, welcome back to episode number 2 in our heart health series, heart health and genetics. Really, Dr. J is here to continue the conversation about keeping our heart healthy and what genes play a role in that. Today, we're going to talk a little bit about cholesterol. It is a mighty big topic, but we're going to keep it to something that makes sense. And I guess the first question to start with, Jay, is my doctor says I have high cholesterol despite the fact that I eat really healthy. Do you think my genes are working against me?
Working against you is a tricky.
They're up there doing some bad voodoo.
Those bad genes. Gosh, there's a lot to unpack there. Understanding cholesterol is one thing, like how high is really dangerous and at
I
what.
always wonder that.
Yeah, there's just a lot of controversy, and it's just one parameter that people associate with, oh, I'm gonna die of heart disease or have a stroke or heart attack or because my cholesterol is high, and it's simply not true. We have to look at different kinds of metabolites in addition to cholesterol to get a true picture of your overall cardiovascular health. But there are certain genes that will cause your body to build up too much cholesterol. And the second part of unpacking what you asked was, what is a healthy diet? There's a lot of controversy about what a healthy diet really does constitute. And you can find a study showing that the vegetarian diets are heart healthy, and you can find studies that show carnivore diets are heart healthy. You can find Mediterranean diets are heart healthy. There's a lot of different diets. That's why I like the genetic testing, because it can tell you specifically what's going to be the best diet for you. That all being said, if your cholesterol is really high despite what you're doing, then we need to look at certain genetic variants that are not working, that essentially the genes code for certain enzymes, and there's an enzyme that breaks down cholesterol, and you may have inherited a genetic variant and there's a lot we can do to upregulate it. One of them is called the ACAT enzyme, ACAT, and its job is to turn cholesterol into bile. Often with that genetic variant, if we don't make bile, we often have trouble breaking down fats. And for that person, the best diet may be a low fat kind of situation. In other genetic variants, it may be fat is not an issue at all with them. And that's why it's so tricky, because not everybody that goes on a low fat diet sees their cholesterol drop. It's just not that way. That's why getting your genes tested and looking at which genes have you inherited. And then the algorithm itself will tell you this is the right supplementation for you based on your particular genes that you inherited. And so we've seen pretty consistently that cholesterol comes down into normal, or at least less alarming levels when we get their diet right for them, specifically for them. It's a very unique combination of diet and lifestyle and supplementation.
Interesting. So I have a functional medicine doctor. He's great. He looks at my total cholesterol and he's, you're fine. What is it? It's 243. And most people would be like, oh my God, but my
Right.
840. So I just have a genetic gene code, whatever, that makes my HDL higher in general from whatever my lifestyle is. But my LDL cholesterol, which isn't bad cholesterol, people, it's just another form of cholesterol.
Yeah.
It just is 100. So it's no big deal.
Yeah, absolutely. And it's not a statin deficiency. It's not what's happening there. There are other factors too, like the thyroid function. If your thyroid function is low, your cholesterol is going to be high. It's an inverse relationship there. We look at all of those kinds of things. It was interesting because I met a guy on an airplane who turned out to be the world-renowned expert on the LDL receptor, which is the LDL cholesterol. And he said everybody that has that genetic variant has to be on a statin. And I said, really? I said, let me show you my results that we did with diet, lifestyle, and supplementation. And he was stunned. He's like, I don't know what to say, because that's better than we get with a statin. And he just was very confused that statins weren't the only answer to this situation.
Mhm.
And it's looking at the whole person, and getting your genes, your enzymes in your body upregulated will bring these parameters into normal levels.
We use a phrase at My Happy Genes that Jay knows I hate, but it's cutting edge, leading edge science. But it is true that science evolves exponentially now from day to day almost. And so what you have been able to show, most top researchers and scientists aren't seeing it because they're being done on such small levels at the moment, right? And there are probably big companies working on similar things to what you do. But for right now, the Major League Western medicine model has not gotten access to them or doesn't want to hear about them. Who knows? I guess if they're tied to a pharmaceutical company, but
Yeah, that's it. So there's no money in this kind of research. It's all in the pharmaceuticals. I hate to say that, but yeah, you have to take your health in your own hands and take your power back and start understanding your body and not just trusting that your doctor knows best. Because statins have very real risk factors for cognitive decline and for muscle wasting. There's side effects there. So it's not always just, oh, we got to get that cholesterol down with a drug. That drug is going to have ramifications down the line that aren't so wonderful.
and one of my favorite subject, talking about the heart as a muscle, and statins are depleting your muscle energy and
Yes.
vitality.
Right.
And I once said to a cardiologist after he told my husband that you could have side effects, your muscles, you'll be pain. And I said, isn't the heart a muscle? And he just looked at me and gave me that side eye, like, why are you in the room?
You're
But
one of those people.
and you mentioned that you can't look at just one thing. We are component parts, but we're one person. And so when the cardiologist looks just at the heart and the vascular specialist looks at the vein, right? That's not how we're designed.
Exactly. It's the interplay. And that's the thing that's unique about my happy genes is we look at the interplay of the thyroid with the heart and the cholesterol levels and your methylation. Do you have an MTHFR gene? And that can lead to different cardiovascular diseases. So we look at that interplay. If you had to do this all in your head, it would be impossible to
Yeah.
calculate the effects of this gene on that gene. And that's why our algorithm is it's so robust because it can look at that interplay. I don't know of any other company that does that.
No, the ones that we've researched, it's usually you have this gene, here's the recommendation. And you actually allow a patient of a practitioner to take an assessment of what's going on in their biochemistry right now that will then go into the algorithm of their genetic profile. And that's where the supplement recommendations come from. So it's not just a practitioner has to have all these million supplements in their brain along with doses and companies that make the best one. My Happy Genes algorithm does that.
Exactly. So
Yeah.
it's unique in that way.
So if you're worried about your cholesterol, take your life in your own hands and get tested and find out what is a healthy diet for you. Here's an interesting thing about the diet and lifestyle report. When you're saying some people say Mediterranean, vegetarian, you don't say you would do well on the Mediterranean diet. It's individual aspects of diet. Like for me, nightshades are not good. And yet I had my genes tested with another company and they repeatedly recommend Mediterranean. What's in the Mediterranean diet? Eggplant, garlic, onions, tomatoes, all
Yeah.
the things that are really not good for my histamine thing. People, careful where you go and get your genes tested. We'll be back with another episode in our Heart Health Month special Q&A series. Next one, we're going to talk about strokes. This is a big concern for people midlife and beyond, may have heart disease, may have high blood pressure. Am I going to have a stroke? And my parents had strokes. So you'll find all about that. Find out all about that in the next video. I do hope you'll join us. Thanks, Jay.
Thanks, GC.